your parents and the fact that you live in Saudi Arabia at one time. Your parents are Nigerian, right?
That's right.
And what is the Nigerian culture like?
So, firstly, it's complicated because Nigeria is one of the most ethnically diverse countries in the world. I don't know if you know, just in Nigeria, there's over 500 languages.
Really? What
Nigeria,
the?
yes, Nigeria has hundreds of different ethnic groups. I mean, it's a country, but it's only a country in the sense that, you know, a little while ago, someone drew a line on the map saying that okay, this area is going to be called Nigeria, but but Nigeria is full of multiple different tribes, different ethnicities, entirely different languages. I'm talking languages as different as Spanish, German, and Arabic. English is the common language of the country. So, yeah, there's a Nigerian culture, I guess you could say, but each individual tribe within Nigeria. So my family's originally from the Igbo tribe.
Wow.
Each tribe has its own culture, language, traditions, so on. So it's a much more complicated country actually.
Is it a nice place to live?
I've never lived in Nigeria myself.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't lived there. I've been there many times to visit, so I haven't lived there. You know, the living standard and general quality of living is far from a country like the UK or the USA. It's still a developing country, and there's pockets of well-developed, you know, fairly wealthy areas. But it's a, you know, it's an African country. There's real poverty still there.
Oh, okay.
You know, there's areas of true poverty and deprivation, and a lot of the infrastructure and a lot of the things that people take for granted in the West. Even basic things like having constant electricity and not having to worry about the lights, the electricity going out, and
Amazing.
you know, having clean running water everywhere. You know, there's still billions of people around the world who don't have that.
Are there white people living in Nigeria?
A small number,
A
not a
small
lot,
number?
a small number.
Are they perceived as white supremacy or racist and all that?
No,
No.
no, not generally. No,
So you were born in the UK though, right?
that's right.
And so you ended up in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
And how old were you when you went there?
One,
When you,
not even.
how long did you stay there?
In total, about 19 years.
Really?
Yeah, about 19 years. But I went to boarding school from the age of 11. I went to boarding school in the UK. So from the age of 11 to 20, I was back and forth multiple times a year between the two countries. So I was still living in Saudi Arabia, but I was going to school in the UK. So it's.
So your parents were black though, right?
Pardon?
Your parents are black. Right.
I assume so.
So why would you go to Saudi Arabia?
My dad got an opportunity to work there. He's
I
he's a
see.
doctor.
Did you like living over there?
I loved it, man. I loved it.
What did you love about it?
The community we lived in was fantastic. Really high quality of living, wonderful people, very clean and safe. They just look after you out there, especially if you live in a country like that, in any of the Gulf countries really as an expat, then they take care of you. They take care of you, they take care of your family. The schools are really good. The
Really?
communities are great. I had a fantastic set of friends out there. So my memories of Saudi are positive, which sometimes surprises people.
And
But it
it's
was a good place
mixed
to grow
with
up.
all races over there too?
Everything, man. Everything.
You know, and the reason I want to know about Saudi Arabia is because my only image is what I see on TV.
Sure.
And I see these people in these big clothes, and I hear this, oh, blah, blah, and it make me scared.
Okay.
And like, I can never go there to live, right? But it's not like that at all.
I wouldn't say that. I mean, what you're seeing is part of the picture, right? It's it's one of the most Islamic countries in the world, probably 99.9% probably, or at least 99%. And yeah, I mean, that would have been the prayer call that you hear, which sounds throughout
And you
the
hear
day.
that all over the place, right?
If you're in one of the cities, if you're in
And
one of the
when
main
you
cities,
hear,
you'll
does
hear.
it make you nervous?
No, not at all. Why would it?
It doesn't make you think
No,
like a bomb about to go off somewhere?
No, not in the slightest, man. Not in the slightest, man.
Did they ever have like a terrorist attack over there?
No.
With all our people?
No. I remember being over there during the Gulf War period. So that was a little bit weird at times, but that wasn't no terrorist stuff.
And one last thing about that, did you live with Saudi Arabia people? Are you allowed to date their women?
We allowed to date that women. I wouldn't risk it. I never did.
You never did?
I never did. No.
And you wouldn't risk it?
I say risk it, but if the thing is, where I grew up was like an expat community. So where I lived in itself was very much like a little bubble. It was almost like a little pocket
Oh,
of,
I see.
like, it was weird. I was in Houston a few weeks ago, and when I was in Houston, I was like, man, this looks like where I grew up.
Oh, yeah?
Which is, yeah. So there's kind of two sides of it. So if you're an expat, you might live in a community camp or compound like that. But then also, you can go into the city, and I'd say going into the city, if you're going shopping or anything like that, then that's more authentic Saudi.
What would happen if you date one of the women and you got caught?
If I dated one of the women and got caught, I
Would
don't.
they cut your head off?
No. I mean, I don't know if there's any laws specifically about like just dating a Saudi woman. I don't think there's any laws or anything preventing that. To be honest with you, I might be unaware. If you were cavorting around in public, like with showing massive signs of public displays of affection,
Yeah.
then that would be a problem. But men and their wives don't even do that over there.
Right,
So
I know.
it's a very different culture. It's a lot more conservative in that regard.
What, as a young man living there, since the women are all covered up from head to toe, there's nothing to attract you anyway, right?
No, there's nothing really.
'Cause you don't even
to
know what they
see.
look like.
No.
Honey.
Like there's not much to see there.
You're like, what the?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but there are people there from other countries who have immigrated there, who are working there. So
Yeah.
there's that sort of parallel worlds running concurrently. You get that in quite a few of the Arab countries. So you have like the expat communities, and then you've also got the local communities, and they blend. And there's areas where they mix up, but they're kind of two separate worlds depending on where you
Are
are.
Christians free to worship God over there, have their Christian services and
So
things like that?
in the community we lived in, yeah, like we would go to church. We'd actually go to church on Fridays because Friday is the Islamic holy day. So in Saudi Arabia, the week runs from Saturday to Wednesday. Not Monday.
Really?
Yeah, so it runs from Saturday
Saturday
to
to Wednesday.
Saturday to Wednesday, Thursday and Friday are the weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and so did you get your hands on one of those oil wells over there?
I didn't get my hands on one personally. That would have been a nice boon, but I got some major ones.